Today we're on our way to Tiruchirappalli, or Trichy as the locals call it. Nestled on the banks of the sacred Kaveri River, Trichy is one of South India's oldest inhabited cities. The story of Tiruchirappalli goes back over 2,500 years. It was once the capital of the early Chola dynasty of Karikala. It later became a prized stronghold for the Pallava King Mahendravarman, then the Madurai Nayaks, and even the British. We were passing by and stopped for a quick look at the Trichy Central Bus Stand. This is a major transportation hub taking people to and from various parts of Tamil Nadu. But the thing we're excited about seeing in Trichy is this giant granite boulder, more than 3 billion years old, older than the Himalayas, and surrounded by 1 million people living around it today, known as Rock Fort. In 610 CE, the Pallava king Mahendravarman carved an intricate system of staircases, caves, and Shiva temples into this rock, early evidence of Hindu religion and culture in the area. The rock is 273 feet high, and the Nayak kings in 1529 used this strategic advantage to build a fortress on top of the rock. As you enter the ancient temple, there's a series of pillars carved out within the granite boulder, and an elephant nestled between the pillars, ready to give all temple visitors a blessing. There's a lower level temple carved out by the Pallava rulers 1400 years ago with ornate pillars and beautiful carvings on the pillars. We then work our way up the 400 or so steps to get to the upper level temple. As you're nearing the final stretch of the climb up the stairs, on your left-hand side is a magnificent cave shrine built by Mahendravarman in around 610 CE. This is known as the Lalit Ankura Cave Temple, dedicated to Lord Shiva. There are numerous inscriptions in the Sanskrit language and in the Pallava Granthi ancient script inside this temple, making it clear that King Mahendravarman was the Pallava ruler at the time these temples were built. The Pallava carvings inside this cave shrine are masterpieces of early rock-cut architecture and led to the dawn of South Indian temple design that later flourished under the Cholas and Nayaks. On one side of this cave is an inner sanctum guarded by 2 angels, but with the Shiva lingam missing from its pedestal. On the other side is a majestic wall relief carved panel of Lord Shiva taming the river Ganges. There's a little break in the climb, and we bumped into a group of wonderful school children all on a field trip to the Rock Fort. You then make your way up the next and last flight of stairs to the Uchi Pillayar temple to Lord Ganesha at the very top of Rock Fort. The view from the top of Rock Fort is spectacular. Here you can see the roof of the temple that we went through on our way up, and next to that is a temple pond or tepakulam. There's a church on the other side of the pond, and beyond that is the sprawling, bustling city of Trichy. And you can see why the Nayaks used this as a lookout to keep an eye on the Bijapur sultans of the area. Out in the distance, you can see the Kaveri River heading towards the Bay of Bengal and on its way irrigating over 1 million acres of Tamil Nadu. We next make our way to Sittanavasal, a tiny village tucked away in rural Tamil Nadu, 36 miles from Trichy. Sittanavasal isn't on the normal tourist track, but it provides a wonderful window into the spiritual and religious transformation of the local people and culture over a 2,000-year period. Jainism was once much more prominent in India than it is today, and Sittanavasal was an important center for Jainism in India from the 2nd century BCE to the 9th century CE. The hill that you see in the distance here was their home and their place of worship. We're entering the village of Sittanavasal now, and there's evidence that this village was settled even in the 1st century BC. The granite rocks and boulders here could whisper stories that are over 2,000 years old. Things to see in the area are stone beds carved into the top of the hill, a temple carved into the rock where the monks would preach and congregate, and numerous burial sites for the Jain monks scattered across the fields in the area, marked by very simple headstones. We're now at Ilaripattam, which is the site of cave beds within the granite structures of this region. The 2nd century BCE script tells us that this has been occupied since that time. This is quite a steep climb, and I'll turn around now and give you an idea of how high we've come very quickly. And we're getting near about 2/3 of the way to the top, and you can see the fertile area of Tamil Nadu that we're in. And the magnificent granite geology of the earth around us. We finally get near the top where the most senior monks would practice the most severe austerities. Sallekhana is an extreme form of fasting where the monks would reduce their food intake progressively till they were no more. The other harsh penance was kayotsama, staying still in one meditative posture, and often this would be standing. Many Jain saints, known as Tirthankaras, would obtain salvation through these severe penances, and it was our privilege to finally see the harsh stone beds where these monks would lay and fast. The Tamil Brahmi script used to provide the names of the ascetics who would occupy these beds dates the site back to between the 1st and 3rd century BCE. This is considered to be the oldest stone record found in South India. On the other side of this granite hill is a cave temple that was carved into the rock. This was likely built by the Pallava King Mahendravarman in the late 500 CE era while he was a Jain and before he converted to Shaivism, or being a follower of Lord Shiva. This is presumed to be a site where senior Jain monks would pray and then give sermons to the faithful in the courtyard. Look around you to get a sense of how this cave temple fits into the grandeur of the surrounding granite hill. The area is divided into an outer mandapam or dais and an inner sanctum. The outside mandapam has statues of the 23rd Tirthankara and the 24th Tirthankara or Mahavira carved into the wall. The inner meditation and prayer sanctum has a magnificent wall carving of 3 Jain saints. Something extremely unique about this cave temple is the wonderful murals painted on the ceilings. These murals were painted with vegetable and other natural dyes and colors between 1400 and 2000 years ago. They show lotus flowers representing the birth of beauty from muddy swamps and show themes from the Jain concept of a wonderful heavenly place. And the final thing to see at this 2000-year-old site of Jain history is the Nishidhi burial stones. Scattered across the fields surrounding the granite hill, and always treated with respect by the farmers who till their lands by working around the site. Not far from where the monks would practice severe austerity and hear lectures, this is the burial ground where many of them would be buried after they had reached salvation. These simple grave markers indicate where a monk was buried after practicing his severe austerity. And similarly, there are several grave markers around the area. The simple majesty of the granite hills of the area seem to somehow fit entirely with the simplicity and austerity of the Jain monks who lived in Sittanavasal 2000 years ago. We're heading now to the Kallanai Dam, 20 kilometers from Tiruchirappalli, and one of the oldest dams in the world. It was built 2000 years ago by the Chola Emperor Karikala. We're driving through the extremely fertile lands of the Kaveri Delta, a river that starts 800 miles previously in the Brahmagiri hills of Karnataka, meanders its way through the southern peninsula of India, and empties into the Bay of Bengal. A few miles east of Trichy, the river splits around a small island, and it's here that Karikala harnessed the power of the river to create the extremely fertile Kaveri Delta and change the course of history for the people of the area. By creating a stone dam where the Kaveri rejoins the Kallanai Dam, Karikala was able to divert the flow of the water into a number of branches, including a man-made canal that has now led to the irrigation of almost 1 million acres in the Tamil Nadu area. We're finally at the magnificent Kaveri River itself. The river is mentioned in a number of ancient Hindu religious texts, including the Mahabharata, and is worshipped by many locals as the goddess Kaveri. We're in the low season now, but the river will swell substantially after the monsoons. The waters of the Kaveri allow this area to be one of the richest rice production areas in the country. It has also led to the growth of numerous other grains, vegetables, and fruits, and has led to the development of tremendous cultures and societies along the banks of the river over the centuries. At the top is the section of the dam that regulates the flow of the Kaveri back into the Kallanai Dam, and lower down are other sections of the water regulators splitting the water flow into the Kaveri River, the Vennar River, and the man-made Grand Anicut Canal. You can see some of the stones laid down in the man-made canal 2,000 years ago when the water levels are low. So here is the fantastic engineering concept and execution. This is the dam on the river Kaveri, allowing the water to flow down the Kaveri River in a regulated fashion. And on the other side, we see the Anicut Canal, which is what allows irrigation of a large part of the Tamil Delta around the Kaveri and the interior of Tamil Nadu. Adjacent to the dam is the town of Kallanai, where a museum was recently built to honor the Chola Emperor Karikala from 2000 years ago. The museum traces the history of the Chola dynasty, the reasons behind the dam's construction, and its continued relevance today. As you enter the museum, there's a large bronze statue of King Karikala seated atop an elephant, a symbol of his might and enduring legacy. There are a number of paintings inside the museum representing Karikala's use of seaborne vessels to conquer nearby lands, and also his reported conquest of large parts of the Indian subcontinent, going up north even to the Ganges River and beyond. There's also a painting demonstrating how the Kallanai Dam was built 2,000 years ago by strategically laying large stones in the path of the water flow using elephant power. The Kallanai is not just a dam, but a symbol of ancient wisdom and engineering brilliance, and the unbroken bond between the Kaveri and her people. As we absorb this ancient history and culture of Trichy, take some time to enjoy the soul of what Trichy is all about today. See the fresh produce grown in farms locally. We stopped at a roadside stall where a family was roasting and individually breaking cashew nut seeds, and bought a small bag of cashew nuts to eat along our journey. And finally, we went to a unique restaurant that serves authentic Trichy-style South Indian vegetarian meals using traditional cooking techniques. The oil that is used for cooking at the restaurant is cold-pressed in wooden barrels on site. The crushing and grinding of spices and grains is done in mortars, and the cooking is done on open-air stoves using wood for fuel. The food was authentic, home-style, and couldn't have been better. The meal is served on a banana leaf and includes 37 different and unique items. And here are a variety of dishes, including ragi halwa, a millet cereal. Just like with the cooking, all of the serving at the restaurant is done by women. I hope you enjoyed this visit to magnificent Tiruchirappalli or Trichy, where the history of an ancient yesterday makes the culture of today. See you next time.